So Kisha's bike's done, wiring rescue's complete. We now have plenty of power to the 6 spines. We're running 2 Sound Digital evox 800.4s. One is bridged to run the 2 6 spines. The other one's running stereo, running the ground zero horns, the ground zero in the uppers, and the ground zeros in the lower fairings. We kept the ARC Audio PSM. We just reconfigured the channels. Now we have bass out of the coax Diamond Audio 6 spine subs in the lids. So this bike sounds the way it's supposed to sound. It's got plenty of bass. It's louder. It's clean. No more issues. We upgraded all the wiring to oxygen-free Stinger copper wiring. She's good to go now.
The longest one on the bottom. You got a little short up top.
All new wiring down the backbone. So Kisha's bike from Philly is all done and delivered. The major improvement on the bike after we rewired it and switched up to oxygen-free copper wire was the additional power to the coax 6 spine subs. If you're going to use a speaker that produces more bass, just note the speaker has less efficiency. What that means, every speaker has an efficiency number, which means how loud it'll play with a certain amount of power. So the higher number, the louder the speaker will play with less power. But the problem is a double-edged sword. If you add more mid bass, it drops the efficiency number and requires more power. So the coax subs from Diamond Audio are awesome. If you don't want to lose backspace, you could drop them in your 6 spine lids and you will actually get mid bass. Problem is you can't run them off your standard 75, 80, 100 watts. To get the most out of them, you have to put some power to it. And they will work at about 100, 125 watts. We really like them at between 200 and 400 watts each. So it takes power to make power. If you run the Diamond Audio MP series, they scream, they're super loud, but they don't have the mid bass. If you run the MS, which is the MS69CX, the coax sub, they're not as loud as the MPs. They require more power, but they have way more mid bass. So that's what we did on this bike. We did an 800.4 bridge just across the 2 6 spine coax subs, and this thing sounds great, has excellent mid bass. The front is running ground zero 6.5s that are high efficiency, don't have any mid bass, and we don't need them to. So they're fine off the other 800.4, getting 125 watts each. But check it out, this bike sounds great. Wiring solid now. It's not gonna have any charging issues. Just to make it a little easier to understand, because I know it gets confusing. If a speaker has a rubber surround, it's gonna have better mid bass. Generally, general rule of thumb, it's gonna have better mid bass, but it's not gonna play as loud. So here's the relay that was installed on Kisha's bike. I keep telling you guys, and some of you guys don't believe me, I get Sound Digital amps to shut off every single time. So I called it before I started working on this bike. It's a grounding issue. Once we redid the wiring and made sure the grounds are solid, we're able to remove this relay and the amplifiers shut off every single time. So pay attention to your wiring, make sure you solder everything, make sure your grounds are solid. And this is a Band-Aid. I understand there's sometimes that maybe you didn't do the build and then the customer just wants a quick solution for the problem, so then you can add the relay to make it shut off. But if you go over the install and verify your grounds and verify that you have no ground loops, the amps will shut off every time. Ask Kisha, here's her relay, and her amps are shutting off. The wires originally ran this way. We rerouted the wire down the bottom of the bag and up. These things hammer now. We had to add a spacer because now that we ran more power, the excursion of the speaker was causing it to tap the bottom of the adapter kit. So we ran the American Hardbags 1/2-inch spacer, and it took care of the problem.